So I'm super excited to be joined today by Dr. Mercedes Cook. And we're going to, here we go, move stuff around so I can actually look at you and not the Facebook. But if you have comments or questions, feel free to type those in the comment section. I'll be looking there every now and then just to kind of see if you have any questions for Dr. Mercedes about her business or about the type of chiropractic care that she is so wonderful at. And I look forward to chatting with you about business and life. And first, let me introduce Dr. Mercedes. So she is an upper cervical chiropractor in San Diego, California, and the owner of Upper Cervical Chiropractic San Diego. She practices, she and her team practice together and believe that every person is unique. So the care is tailored to their needs. And her practice mission is to provide excellent chiropractic care to help people live happier, healthier lives. In her spare time, she loves traveling, spending time with her two Frenchies, and her husband of 5 years. So again, welcome, Dr. Mercedes. Thanks for being here with us today.
Thank you, Julie. I'm excited to chat with you.
Yes, yay. And so what I like to ask first is, what inspired you to start your business, or how did you get your start in this business?
Yes. So, well, I think like the start of it is, with this business and being a chiropractor, like my dream was never to I was never thinking about owning a business, right? Mm-hmm. It was more, I was having my own health struggles in high school. I saw an upper cervical focused chiropractor who completely changed my health, my outlook on like how the body works and how everything's connected. And so going through that process, it was very clear to me, like what I want to do and what kind of value I want to provide to the world and the people in my community. But it wasn't clear until going through school. It's kind of like we have two options. You can get your degrees and then you can work for someone else, or you can start your own business. And I wasn't really sure which one was for me. But like a lot of healthcare professionals, we're not really taught, like we don't go to business school. We're not necessarily taught this is how you open a business. These are things you need to do. Yeah. But funny enough, you'll love this, Julie. I still have it on my MacBook to this day. But when I was in chiropractic school, I wrote on a sticky note. I was in like a weekend course about, it was more like vision planning, like what you want for your life type of thing. And they were like, if you were to be a business owner, what would your life look like? What does your dream life and practice look like? Mm-hmm. And I'm from Ohio. I was in school in Georgia, but on that sticky note, I wrote that my dream practice is in La Jolla, California. Mm-hmm. I wrote out exactly how many people I want to be seeing. I wrote out what like days I want to be working. Mm-hmm. And that was probably in 2014 that I did that. And, I'm not in La Jolla, I'm in Mission Valley, but pretty close.
Yes.
So everything that I wrote on that sticky note kind of manifested. So I really take writing things down and manifesting them very seriously. But to kind of get back to your question, like after working for someone else, it became very clear to me that in order to reach my goals and do the things that I want to do in life, like being my own boss and owning my own business was absolutely something that I wanted to do. Yeah. And I was very fortunate that I found an very successful existing practice that I purchased in San Diego. So that's what brought me out here. And now I'm going on 4 years of being here. So it's been amazing.
Yeah. No, thank you for sharing that. And, it's so interesting because often, most of the time when I first meet with business owners, when they come to me, they have goals, whether loosely or very finite goals, but typically it's in their head. And then once you start writing it down and you make, okay, where do I want to be in 5 years, 10 years, and work your way backwards and start writing things down, you start to actually see the results where it's like, oh, I wrote this down and it's actually happening, right? But you manifested it, but also it was written down so that everything from there was very intentional in how you were going to get there.
Yep.
Yeah. And so what were your goals when you started the business, and how have those changed, or have they changed?
Yeah. So when I took over this practice 4 years ago, my goals were, it was kind of at a weird time because I took ownership just before COVID happened. So a lot of the goals that I set for my practice and like wanting to get out in the community, really a lot of my goals as a business owner, because I was in a brand new place, I didn't know a single soul in San Diego. I wanted to really like personal relationships are really important to me. So I wanted to find a way like volunteer or join groups to make these connections. But with the timing of my business, that didn't really happen like I thought it would. Because of COVID, like a lot of groups weren't meeting, things weren't really happening. But regardless, it ended up working out. My goals were really to get involved in the community, meet other business owners, and kind of similar to how we met each other, like finding out, I know what it's like to be a business owner. So I want to support other small business owners as well. So starting to form connections, that was kind of my top priority. And then also within that, I'm really passionate about connecting with other healthcare providers. So I had set a lot of goals to, I do a very like specialty thing within chiropractic. So when my patients need something other than the specialty that I do, I need to know where to refer them to, or I like
have the resources.
I like to have resources for them. So they're not just kind of like, okay, now I'm just sent on my way and I don't know what else I'm supposed to do. I wanted to be that connector person for them. So the first couple of years, I really spent a lot of time in like the relationship focus and meeting other healthcare providers. The other top goal that I had for my business was I wanted to have an associate. I want to create a practice where there are multiple upper cervical chiropractors. Anyone in our office can see any of the doctors. You're going to get phenomenal care regardless of who you see. And that's the type of clinic that I'm working on building. And I currently have one other associate right now who is in my practice, which is great. And the reason that that's kind of like one of the top goals is because as a healthcare provider and someone who sees, works with clients one-on-one, in order for me to do my best work and be connected with my patients and not miss things, like I need to be recharged. I need to be refreshed. So I can only see so many patients within a week, right? And if I have these big goals of helping more and more people, I need more people on my team to help me. I don't want to get burnt out. I never want to feel like this is too much for me. So I'm trying to put these things in place so that doesn't happen.
So with that being said, it allows you personally to be able to serve more people, but also the mission, your mission and vision for the practice, for the business is to be able to reach as many people as possible. And that that you can't do that all on your own, while also running and growing the business and being in strategy and vision and relationships and a team. So it's getting to a point where you are working and seeing as many patients as you'd like and that fit your schedule, while also continuing to make sure that the business grows and thrives. Yeah, which is fantastic. So in hiring your associate, and you also have a fantastic office manager, do you have any tips as far as hiring the right people for the business goes?
Yes. I mean, I think you have to know what kind of culture and environment you want to create within your office, and whether you have an office or even just a team, if you're not actually coming into an office. Like for me, being in healthcare and helping people try to figure out problems, like the environment that we need to create in this office is from the moment you walk in here, you need to feel welcomed. You need like the biggest compliment is when our patients are like, I feel like I'm home when I'm here. And that's exactly what I try to create in this office. So,
and I personally have experienced that, so I can attest to that. Where I was like, I don't want to leave. I'm just gonna sit here and drink my coffee and hang out.
And hang out. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and that's what I want. I don't want this to feel like some place where you're just like sitting in a chair, like, oh my gosh, like what's going to happen? I don't know if these people are happy to be here or not happy to be here. I want it to be warm and welcoming.
Yeah.
So really having people on my team who are warm and welcoming and friendly, that's obviously a requirement because we are talking to a lot of people every single day. And so that's definitely a big one. Like how do these people, what does their energy feel like? How do these people make me feel? How are they going to make my patients feel by being in our practice? So just knowing what you're looking for, that might not be an appropriate thing for everyone. But another big one, a thing that you turned me on to was looking at disc profiles. So how is everybody's personalities in the workplace? Like how are they going to mesh together? Do we have different, do we want everybody to be the same? I definitely don't. Like, I think where my office manager is versus where I am versus my associate, we're all kind of on different ends of the spectrums. We all have our strengths. We all have our weaknesses. Sure. And so not that I'm necessarily looking for like you have to be this type of person, just knowing who they are so we can play to their strengths and their weaknesses. But really for me, it's a lot about how do you make people feel? Are you attentive? Are you a good listener? And of course, my associate, my office manager do completely different roles, but are you really good at, like, for the office manager, are you very detail oriented? Can you get things done on time? Things like that versus my associate. The things that I care about are, of course, how you make people feel, your communication, and then also like the specialty work that we do. Can you provide good quality care? Those are like the top things that need to happen. But I really like doing the disc assessment and doing things around that. And I really like the interview process, just having them come, before ever considering bringing them on, have them come into your practice and I call it like a shadow day and see how they feel in the office. Because even if you like the candidate, if they're not really jiving with your office or they don't enjoy spending a whole day there, probably not going to be a good fit. So doing like shadow days is something that I like to do when hiring, because you can tell a lot within that day as they're just hanging out with you and interacting with patients. That's how I can kind of tell if someone's going to be a good fit or not.
So your hiring process is designed to weed out the people who wouldn't necessarily be a good fit for your practice. Maybe, they'll find their place, but also, it's how they show up and how they greet others who may not be in your same position, or, even the clients who do come in and things like that. But you have a system in place that helps to help you make a better decision about, is this person the right fit? So understanding their communication style and their character, and then also the systems run the business and the people run the systems, right? Get the systems do the work for you, right? Thank you for those tips. That's fantastic. And so what would be the most valuable lesson that you've learned to date as a business owner?
Oh, Julie, this is one that I
pick one.
I have learned so many things as a business owner. But I think the biggest thing as of recently, but this has been true the whole time, it's just sort of shifting my mindset right now. And that is that change is inevitable. And sometimes we, like, the word change, you might have a negative connotation with it, like, oh, things are changing, that means it's bad. And it's not bad. Change is change. Like, people are going to come and go from your team. How you thought you were going to show up in your business in 10 years, 20 years, like that may shift. Like, there's literally always going to be change that happens. So I think just being prepared, like, things are never just going to stay the same and keep on keeping on. Like, things are always going to be changing. So I think adopting that mentality as a business owner, just knowing that, like, when I least expect it or when everything's flowing properly, change is going to happen. And that's okay. Having systems, And then having good communication skills with your team, like having these tools to like learn how to navigate it, has been really important. So I've definitely been, that's like my big thing as of recently.
Yeah. And it's not, something happens and it's the end of the business, right? Everything is over, or like you said, a key person leaves and it's like, it's understanding that, if it's the first time that somebody's left or that you've had to let go, that once that's happened, like you have as long as you have the systems in place and you have succession plans and things like that, and just like you said, just sort of like, okay, what's the lesson in this? What can I do differently next time? And continue moving on. How important is it, as change will happen for us, right? How important do you think it is to have a North Star that keeps you focused?
I mean, I definitely think that, you kind of started in the bio with like, what are your mission? Like, what is your mission? Like, what are you trying to accomplish? And understanding that most of the changes in the business are not like, they can be inconveniences or they can be things that pop up that make you pivot, but none of them are like a threat to your mission and like providing whatever it is that you want to provide for the world. So I think using your mission and like what you are meant to do for others or your community, like always going back to that and remembering like why you're doing the things that you're doing, because when you remember that, any like little change or shift that comes up, it doesn't seem like as big as sometimes we make it out to be. So that's kind of what I utilize. Like if I'm under stress or there's a lot of change happening, I just go back to like, what's our mission? Why do I do what I'm doing in the first place? Is that in jeopardy? The answer has never really been yes. It's always just been no. It's just like we have to change some systems or processes that we're doing, and that's okay. Yeah.
I had one of my other one-to-one clients recently was talking about when he has to make a decision, and it's a bigger decision, he uses his mission to help him guide his decision, whether it's a new opportunity that's been presented or a challenge that comes up or whatnot. It's getting back to your mission. So, even right now and hearing from you, keep on keeping on, right? Even though change is inevitable, going back to your why and your mission, always having that front of mind, be clear on that, write it down, stick it up, right? Have it in your team meetings so that everybody's on the same page, but it's, you're here for a purpose, and there's, why does it matter? And getting back to that. So I appreciate you sharing that, because it's so huge, and it's easy to forget when we're in the day-to-day or when something happens and it just feels really big and scary. So
for sure.
Thank you for sharing that. Appreciate that. Now, what do you see, speaking of mission and where you're headed, what do you see for Upper Cervical Chiropractic San Diego in the next 5 years?
Oh my gosh, next 5 years. What my goals and like vision would be is, because of this specialty that we do within chiropractic, I think that, just like any other healthcare, there's like general doctors and their specialties within that. I feel like upper cervical chiropractors are such a small number compared to the amount of chiropractors. Even like if you look at San Diego County, like 1% of chiropractors would be upper cervical chiropractors. And so one of my goals is to, like right now, our practice in Mission Valley, which I love this location. It's very central for a lot of people, which is great. But I do think that there's a big market up in North County or other parts of the county where we could position another office to provide more care to people, because, unfortunately our traffic, it's not really getting better. So people like my North County people or my Temecula people, like people don't want to have to drive super far, which I totally get that. I like to have all my providers or people that I see close to me too. So my vision and how we can help support more people is expanding to another office and having more than one location, and then having several upper cervical doctors in each practice.
Okay. Expanding your reach, being able to help more people.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Going back to that mission.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We did have a question come up. Can you tell us more about upper cervical, and what is upper cervical? Why is it different?
Yeah, for sure. So most people have heard of chiropractic. A majority of people have experienced a chiropractic adjustment. So there's two kind of philosophies or ways to go about it. One is full spine, which most people are familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
It is, the type of adjustment is more like a, cracking, twisting, cracking of the spine and moving the joints around, hearing a lot of popping, clicking, things like that during a correction.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more of a generalized approach. So think about, when you go to your dentist for a cleaning, you go to a general dentist, they kind of do a once over, they clean everything. It's good. That's like kind of how I like to distinguish. Okay, there's general chiropractors who are manipulating the spine and moving things around, and that works for a ton of people, which is great. But there's also a lot of people out there who don't respond well to traditional adjustments. They might be a little bit too aggressive for them, or if their nervous system's in more of a heightened state, it might, like traditional adjustments might make them feel worse. So that's where upper cervical chiropractic has a really great offering, because it's a bit more specific. You don't just come in and we chat and then we just do a quick adjustment. We want to sit down. We want to go through your health history, see what providers you've worked with, who you haven't. Is this a good fit for you? Then we go through a neurological assessment, thermography scan, and then we do something called a CBCT. So it's a 3D scan of your head and neck. So every single patient that undergoes upper cervical, you will always have imaging done. There will never be an adjustment done that isn't guided through imaging. And the premise with this is, with upper cervical, our goal is to get our patients, one, get their spine back into alignment precisely so that it actually holds for long periods of time. We don't want you coming out of alignment, week after week after week, and needing to always be readjusted. So it's just a different way. So we use the 3D technology to help us make precise adjustments to hold things in place. And then we come up with a plan on how to get you to hold for a couple weeks and then a couple months. So it's more of like a stability thing. So there's just it's a very gentle adjustment. There's no cracking or popping in it. Traditionally, most people seek out upper cervical if they've tried regular chiropractic and it just didn't help, or if they felt worse after an adjustment. They kind of knew that they needed something more specific. So we just need to do a little bit of a deeper dive, which is doing 3D imaging, doing a gentler adjustment to kind of bring their body back to a better place. So hopefully that was
my understanding too, that there's specific health problems that people have when they come to you or when they seek upper cervical. What are typically some of those?
Yes. So, and by the way, when we say upper cervical, what that is referring to is, when you come in for an assessment, we're going to look at your entire spine. Like, we're going to look at you from head to toe, but we're looking to see upper cervical means, so the back, the occiput, so the back of your skull back here, and then your C1 and C2, like those three bones are part of your spine. Like that's what we're referring to as upper cervical. And we're looking at that area really closely because this is where your brainstem comes down through the skull and then your spinal cord starts. So the reason that we do imaging and go through this whole process is because this area is extremely important, and you never want to do an adjustment that's not precise in that region, because your brainstem's right there. Your brainstem controls everything. So doing a gentle.
I love that we're having an anatomy lesson right now. So you're welcome, everybody that's watching.
But
it's fascinating.
To answer your question, when the upper cervical is misaligned, there are in a lot of cases, there's a lot of symptoms, like similar symptoms that people have. So some big ones are migraines and headaches. When the upper cervical region is shifted, that can kind of cause some fluid and pressure changes up into the brain. So a lot of times patients will come in with headaches and migraines. They'll also come in with balance issues. So it may be dizziness, it could be vertigo, or just feeling off balance. Another big one is brain fog. So kind of feeling like your head is in a cloud or your memory is being affected. And then of course, neck pain. A lot of people will have discomfort at the base of the skull. You might have, limited range of motion when you try to turn your head side to side, things like that.
I'm sure you're not talking about me.
About you at all, Julie. But those are definitely the most common. So there's definitely the musculoskeletal complaints of, neck pain. But a lot of times it's more like neurological things like the headaches or the brain fog, or even, your vagus nerve sits up here. So a lot of people will present with, pain up here, and they also have digestive issues. So the list is kind of endless on why, like how your upper cervical being out of alignment could be affecting your body. It can affect a lot of different things, but those are kind of like the traditional things that people seek us out for. And then
a lot of people, I don't know if they know, I appreciate you sharing this, and I appreciate that question, because I don't know if people know yet that this is a resource and can be a solution and give you results that, other things haven't necessarily been giving.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I always encourage my patients, again, not that you need to like be a doctor or go through an anatomy course, but if you look up the brainstem and how, all of our cranial nerves that control everything that our body does, like they all stem from this one area. And so getting this area checked out, if you're presenting with any symptoms, especially in the neck, or even if you don't necessarily have any neck pain, but when you were 5 years old, you fell off a horse, or someone rear-ended you and you had whiplash, like people have physical and emotional stressors that happen throughout their life that absolutely impact their neck. And so if that is you, like, even if it was, decades ago, something for sure impacted your neck. And then, years later, these symptoms kind of start popping up seemingly out of nowhere. That's where I'm like, it's probably from an old injury. And that's why, like, looking to your spine and your structure first to see if that's where the issue is stemming from. A lot of things can be helped just through that and investigating that route.
So speaking of contacting you to understand what's happening, or to reach out and see what's going on or whatnot, how can people get in touch with you or with your office?
Yeah, for sure. So our office, it's Upper Cervical Chiropractic San Diego. We're located in Mission Valley. If you want to check out our website, it is uppercervicalsd.com. And then our office phone number, hopefully I say this right, it's 858-577-0662. If you want to give us a call, call our office if you have any questions. Our office manager is like amazing. She can kind of walk you through what our process looks like. If this is
every business needs a Gloria.
Every business needs a Gloria, 100%. And one thing that I do, because, right now, I feel like a lot of people out there are looking for answers to their health problems. Like, why is this happening to me? I don't want to cover this up with pharmaceuticals, things like that. Every patient that comes into our office, I offer a complimentary consultation. I want you to come in. I want you to meet me to see if we're a good fit to work with each other. And I also want to know, based on your health history, if this is the right thing for you. So if you've ever been curious about whether it's chiropractic or upper cervical in specific, come have a conversation with me. At the very least, I can assess what's happening and redirect you on where might be a good place for you to start to kind of get yourself back to the place that you want to go.
Yeah. Just taking that first step, making that call to chat. Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you. And then finally, you mentioned that you're really interested in and really good about developing and nurturing relationships with other providers and being able to add value to them, as well as vice versa. So who specifically would you be interested in connecting with that maybe will see this and want to reach out to start connecting that way?
Yeah, for sure. So the top providers that I usually refer to or that my patients need to see. They usually include PTs or any sort of rehab therapist, because I don't do any anything PT related. I don't do any extremity work. So I always seek out to connect with people who, if my patient had a shoulder surgery or whatever it is, who can help them recover from that. So I have a lot of PTs and rehab clinics that I refer to regularly. Also acupuncturist and anyone, this could be an MD, this could be a naturopath, this could be a functional medicine title, really just our primary care providers, because a lot of people are looking for a good, just primary care provider to have on their team. And so there's really not a doctor that I'm not looking to connect with, because we all have our different things that we do. But those are kind of the top ones that I refer to on a regular basis.
Okay, great. All right. Well, I think that wraps it up for today. Thank you again, Dr. Mercedes, for your time, sharing your expertise, as well as sharing your story and some business tips. So it's pretty cool because we got some anatomy lessons, and we got some business lessons, and we got some health lessons. So very, very well-rounded interview. Appreciate it. And you heard our contact information, but I'll make sure and put it in the comments as well. And again, thank you, Dr. Mercedes, for your time, and look forward to hearing how your business continues to grow. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Julie.
Bye, everybody.